Look at that. Hmm? The wind and I are in a serious fight for my corns. The wind has been so terrible this year. It is just blowing them over. I've lost a few of them already to this wind. So I am going to have to find a solution to deal with the problems. So as you may know, corn is a shallow rooted plant, so they don't do well with strong winds, and it doesn't even take any portion of wind to blow them over either. So the plan is that I am going to be molding around the corns to give it some support. So I'm just going to be putting soil around the root of the plant so that it can get some support, because of the few corns that I plant this year compared to the other years, I'm really sad that I've already lost some, and I really would like to see the rest come to fruition, because this corn is not sweet corn. I don't like sweet corn. I eat it, but I don't like it. But it's not something that I would plant. The only way I would plant sweet corn is if I'm going to allow it to mature to the point where the corn is gonna start to dry, because at that point in time it loses some of its sweetness. I am more accustomed to the waxy type of corn, and that's what I prefer, especially since I so love to roast corns. And I can't stand to roast corn and it's all soft. It needs to be firm. These ones up here is not so bad, but those closer to the fence are the ones that are taking most of the beating from the wind. I guess I'm gonna have to go back and visit my friend to get some more soil. This is just loose sand, but I'm okay with that. Can be modified when I had my finished compost to it later on. Thankfully I have enough bucket of this sand, so I'm able to put it around all of the corns. The soil at the bottom of the bucket is soaking wet because of the rain. That looks as if I'm mixing concrete. Oh well. If I see where I need to add more soil around these corns in the future, then I'll just go to my friend and get some more of this sandy soil. I was planning to put it in my raised bed with some castings and compost to fill up the beds, because all the material that I put in there over the in the spring has shrunken down. So I'm just gonna keep topping up those raised beds until they are up to the level where I want them to be. But for now, I have to wait because I have my plants in there. So after I've harvested everything during the early fall, then I'll be doing that to this raised beds. It's a lot of work bringing over all that material, because it's gonna be a lot. I mean, 2 of my raised beds are 16 feet by 3 feet wide. And one is 10 by 3 and one is 10 by 2. So to fill those up, and I have, in some of them I have maybe 15 inches that need to be filled up from top to bottom, and some of them I have maybe 10 inches. So it's gonna require a lot of compost and castings and soil. Okay, this bucket is empty. I need to get another one. See, I have a lot of work cut out for me for this growing season, but that's okay. I am reaping the result of my hard labor, so I don't mind, just as long as the wind don't take my corn away. I would be very sad because I love corn. When we were kids growing up, and my parents would plant a lot of corn, and we would play games with the corn. My dad used to play this game with us called Ship Sail, and he would roast the corn, take off some of the grains in his hand and shake them and say, "Ship sail." And then as kids we'd say, "Sail pass." And then he'd ask, "How many men on board?" So we were supposed to tell him how many grain of corn he's got in his hand. If we answer correctly, then whatever he has in his hand would become ours. And as small kids, that was so fun. I've never forgotten that game. I've always wanted to play it with my kids, but the only corn that I see them planting here in Saskatchewan is sweet corn. So you can't get nice roasting corn to play the game, and that is why I decided that, okay, since they have sweet corn and they sell flint corn as ornamentals, so they dry the corn and use it for ornamentals. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to be eating the sweet corn, eating the flint corn instead, since it's closer to the ones that we have in Jamaica in terms of its waxiness and its hardness. But I still have been planting them for what, 3 years? This is the 3rd year, but I still haven't had the chance to let these corn reach to that level of maturity yet, because the growing season is so short, which is why this year I started my corns in seed blocks indoors, so that I'll be able to harvest them a little sooner rather than later. But unfortunately, the weather outside took so long to warm up. I don't know what effect that will have on when I am able to harvest the corn, if I'll be able to harvest it any faster than the previous years. I do hope so, because that would be great. And then another thing that I like with corn is corn porridge. Oh my goodness, I just love the corn porridge. You take the hard corn and you grate it or you blend it, but you don't want it refined. You want to have it in chunky pieces, and you boil it until it's tender, and you add coconut milk and your sweetener, whether you're going to use honey or artificial sweetener or sugar, and some condensed milk. You can just use condensed milk as your sweetener, and you put your almond and rose water, your nutmeg and your cinnamon and a bit of butter, and some vanilla. That's just so delicious. I'm a lover of porridge, but I don't like most of the porridge that I see being made here. Like there's what they call it, wheat of cereal or some wheat of something, and no, I don't like the type of porridge that I see here. I guess it's a matter of what you're used to. Yeah, I like the ones I'm used to from home. My hominy corn porridge as well. Oh, that one is just crazy delicious. This is a lot of work mulching these corns. Imagine if I had all the corns like I had last year. Last year I had about 3 times this amount, but because I decided to transfer the raised beds that were close to the fence into one of the locations where I usually plant my corns, and then move over the kids' raised bed there as well. So I lost that spot for planting my corns. And then this year I am planting a lot more vegetable than I've ever done before, and so I lost a lot of the space that I would use for corns, because in general I would have half of my main garden as corns. And if all goes well next year, I'm going to go back to having a lot of corn, because the plan was that all of my plants that grow to a short height, I would plant those in the raised bed, and then things like my indeterminate tomatoes and my cucumbers and my corns would be the only thing that I have in the main garden. And yeah, so that would give me a lot of space to plant a lot more corns. So that was the plan, but then don't ask me why that got changed. Maybe because I was in a panic to get things into the garden this year, because everything was taking so long. The cold weather took so long to warm up. But all of this is a learning curve. I will get it right eventually. Okay, so this is going to be the last bucket of soil that I'm going to need. I think you got the idea of what I am doing with this corn, so I don't think I need to show you more. So guys, I thank you all for watching. If you like my video, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on your notification. Please have yourself a wonderful day.